Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Okay, as I'm busy letting people in, just if you can hear me and if the sound is okay, just a thumbs up in the chat box, please. If there's no background noise, I'll be happy because I do have a fan on in the background and sometimes it makes a bit of noise or interferes with the speaker, but it shouldn't, not with the speaker I'm using. So if you can hear me in the chat box, just a thumbs up or a yes, or please, thank you. And then, dankie Lisa. Right. Yolandi, donkey, thanks. And while we are waiting, just make sure you are on mute. As always, or as usual, you are welcome to ask any questions. So if you'd like to ask a question, you can put it in the chat box. We can discuss it as we go through tonight's process. Let me just see. Okay, so hear me. Thank you, Linda. Thanks. You can hear me. I'll just give a minute or two for other people to join. Rudy, all perfect. Thank you, Rudy. Just minimize this. Awesome. Okay, while we are waiting for people, give a minute or two. Tonight we are going to discuss fear. Fear, if you are engaged in this planet, if you are slightly alive, you would have definitely experienced fear surrounding something. Okay. I don't think anybody who's alive on the planet has not experienced fear at all. Unless I know there's a certain gene in the brain that makes people fearless. But yeah, we'll discuss a bit surrounding fear tonight and what it is, and do a practical session of how to actually help the subconscious mind to come to terms with fear. Okay. Let me just check here quickly. Okay, I think that's everybody. That should be fine. Okay. In the chat box, yes or no, have you ever experienced fear? Okay. Have you ever experienced a fear? Doesn't matter fear of what, but have you ever been afraid of something? Someone, situation? Just yes or no. Let's just see what the answers are surrounding fear. Okay, so have you or have you not been afraid? Linda, yes. Okay. If you've been afraid of something, yes. Yolandi, of course. Leanne, of course, yes. All right. Yeah, okay, Lisa. I think most, if not all, the answers will be yes. Right? We've experienced fear. All of us have experienced it. We know what it is. We know what it feels like. We know how it shows up in the body. Then, surrounding the reaction to fear, there are certain things that people do. They either fight, they've got the fight or flight or freeze response, or if the fear is too great, they don't know how to react in certain situations. So there are different things happening surrounding this fear thing. If you can think back, okay, what was the first thing that taught you about fear? Was it something in your childhood? Was it something recently? Was it some unexpected event? The mind can actually go quite quickly to situations where there was fear or where fear was involved. Yeah, whether that was with other people, whether that was with animals, events, doesn't matter. The mind can quickly latch on to a situation where there was fear. And the reason for that is we need to survive. Everything in nature is fighting for survival. Okay, so if we are trying to survive the whole time, the brain must make sense of fear. What is dangerous, what's not dangerous, what's life-threatening, not life-threatening. Okay, and it is funny because there are so many fears on this planet. But the difference between a fear and a phobia is a phobia is a irrational fear. So irrational fear is something that you're afraid of. For instance, if somebody has a deathly fear of frogs and they see a frog jump past them and they almost want to pass out, the frog is not dangerous. It's not close to them. Okay. They are actually in that state, in that phobic state. That's a phobia. We are not discussing phobias. They are something different. Fear, on the other hand, is a feeling that you have that you're afraid of something, but it's not so debilitating that you cannot move or make decisions. It's more in the background, and it is realistic. For instance, if you stand on the tallest building of the world and you look down and somebody pushes you off without safety harness or anything, you're going to fall to death. That's a realistic fear. Okay. So there are certain realistic things that are important to understand surrounding fear. Now, in the chat box, what do you think is the biggest fear on this planet? What are people mostly afraid of? What would you say is the biggest fear that people have on this planet? Let's see what you can come up with. Okay, if you think about fear, what do you think is the biggest fear on the planet? There are three big ones, but what's the biggest one? What do you think? If you think about people, what they're afraid of, what would be the fears that show up? So in the chat box, just write, what do you think? What's the best fears or the most fearful things? Death, Lisa, okay. Death, definitely one. I would actually say death is the most important one, right? People are afraid of dying. Death is one of the biggest fears on this planet, followed by rejection or abandonment. People not wanting us, okay? Rejecting us, not being part of a connected relationship or society or whatever. And then the third one is fear of failure. So death, rejection, and failure are the biggest fears people deal with on this planet. Okay, and most of us have dealt with it in some shape or way or form. So let's start with death. Okay. Everybody's going to die. Okay. Everybody's going to end up dead. Doesn't matter who you are. All right. I don't fear death as much as being in an accident again. Yes, Lisa, of course. Okay, you survived that accident. All the trauma with it is stuck. It's not so much the death that we fear, it's the road we take to get there. Okay. Do you want to die a painful death in shock and horror, or do you want to just nod off and not wake up again? Die in your sleep. All right. So the road to death is what most people are afraid of. So how is that going to happen? Are you being crushed in a car? Is something falling on you? Are you dying of painful cancer? All these things go on in the mind. So death is definitely a thing. How do we deal with death? Well, in certain cases, there are so many things that people do, from psychedelics to hypnosis to meditation to they have these different modalities that you can use to actually be more peaceful and more calm surrounding your own death and your own mortality. The biggest and the easiest one is probably psychedelics that people use. So they use like experiences of psychedelics to actually get used to death because they know there's a part of them that's alive outside of this physical realm. Okay, deep meditation can lead to that. Surely in the hypnosis world, as I've seen, because that's what I do, with past life regressions and stuff like that, and people communicating with people who they lost to death, it's a fascinating process. Whether it's real or not, it has an effect on a person, a positive effect. And then their own mortality is not so bad to face. Okay, they are not so afraid of death if they go through those processes. But if you never think about it, if you try and avoid it, if you try and push it down, it doesn't work. Okay. So surrounding yourself with death sounds a bit morbid, but if you see people, I've never experienced an open casket funeral until a couple of years ago. It's probably what, 5, 6 years ago? And that was quite a shock to the system because I'm used to a casket, but they don't have an open casket funeral. But at this funeral, they had an open casket. And to see my friend lying there and to witness what death looks like, it was quite an amazing experience. Okay. So surrounding yourself with death makes it more tolerable, makes your own mortality real. But then when we associate fear with death, it's a draining event. Okay, because most people don't know where they're going to end up after death. Do we know? Do we know for sure? No, nobody can tell you because they haven't come back and said, hey, listen, this is where we end up. Okay, some people have experiences of life after death. Some people have experiences of out-of-body experiences and they realize death is just an illusion, it's just a stepping stone. But until you've had that experience or until you know of someone who's had that experience or you've discussed that experience, it is not actually real for you. It's just a fantasy. And you want to anchor the fantasy of death in reality because all of us are going to die. We're busy dying at this moment. Okay. Not fast, I hope, anybody on this call. Okay, so fear of death, you need to understand, accept it. It's a reality. Surround yourself with death. Every now and again, think of it. What would it be like if you're no longer there, if someone you love is no longer there? Okay, it's important to understand that you have to surround yourself with death. Now, when it comes to fear of rejection and disconnect from people or people who are supposed to love you, or there's just a disconnect and an abandonment, that one is either more, I think, even more difficult for people, because if somebody has a fear of abandonment or rejection, what is the basic underlying fundamental issue with that fear? It is just judgment, right? You're being judged for who you are, so you're being rejected. You're not being accepted. There's a tone of judgment under that. So I think fear of judgment is a big one. And if you are judged in that way by somebody you are personally connected to, it definitely hurts. It's definitely going to cause trauma. And we don't like feeling that rejection. So how do we deal with this rejection? Okay. First of all, when you realize that most people in your life, most if not all, have an idea of who you are, they have an idea of what you are. So they have that idea in their mind, and somewhere in their mind, they are communicating that idea to you. Okay. And if they communicate that idea to you and you feel rejected, you must actually go, okay, but wait a minute. Maybe it's not just you. Maybe it is the way they perceive you. Okay. And if they perceive you in a certain way, no matter how much I'm trying to dig into your mind, okay? If I open your brain and I look for an image of me in your brain, I'm not going to find one. You see me as a certain person, you see what I look like, you see what I talk like, okay? You see my gestures, but nowhere in your brain is there a picture of me that I can find. I'm only going to find gray matter, chemicals, electrical signals. That is a weird concept. So everyone we see, we form an opinion of. We add our value systems to what we see this person is, who they are, how they react, and there we have it. And now we start to either accept or reject this person. So when you are accepted or rejected, doesn't matter. Yeah, it's actually quite an illusory thing, but it does have an effect. How do we deal with the effect? By realizing nothing, not even relationships, last forever. It's an impossibility. Okay. Can we let go with grace? Can we accept that things come to an end? Most of us can't. It's not nice to have things end, especially if it's a nice relationship or something. So if you feel rejected, abandoned, usually it happens in childhood. There's something that happens. Friend doesn't want to play with you. Mom or dad was mean to you, or somebody did something to you that you felt you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough. Those ideas manifest, yes, but go and question them. The best thing to do is to ask quality questions surrounding rejection and relationships and how and why. Was it your fault that you're being rejected? Sure, maybe you did something. Take accountability for the steps that you did, but don't get stuck on them. They are just steps. Okay. So Linda, rejection in different forms, relationships, work, friendships. Yes, you get lots of different rejections, but the underlying thing is you feel rejected, right? Doesn't matter if it's from friends, work, being fired, whatever that is. The underlying feeling is rejection. And rejection shows up in different forms for people in their bodies. So we want to find out what is the rejection, what is the result of the rejection, what was our part to play in the rejection, what can we do to make it better? Only for ourselves, because there's some people who die never making peace with other people. There are so many things that happen that's out of your control. But in your mind, you can replay it, you can control it, and you can ask the right questions surrounding that, and you can do it on a subconscious level, which has powerful effects in forgiveness. Okay. Then, regarding fear of failure, that's a big one. We don't like to fail. Okay. But what is the opposite of failure? It is success, right? What is the definition of success? Please go and do a deep analytical dive into the definition of success, and you'll find out most people do not know. Okay. We do not know what success is. We've got an idea of success. In the Western world, it's money, it's health, it's wealth, it's relationships. Yes, okay. But if you take every individual person, you ask them what success is for them, it'll be different. If your value systems are clear, if you know what you want, if you know how to get it, if you take steps to achieve your value systems, that is the best definition of success I've ever heard. So the definition goes like this. It's a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Now, a progressive realization of a worthy ideal means you've got an ideal that's aligned with your value systems, whatever that is. Say you want to be a mom. Say you want to be a wife. Say you want to be an entrepreneur. Say you want to be an accountant, a janitor. It doesn't matter what you want to be. Say your mind has a belief around something that you want to achieve. That is a worthy ideal. Now you take the steps to achieve that ideal. Okay, and it's progressively getting closer. Either you study, or you start dating, or you start finding a partner, or you take these steps to get to your ideal. That is success. Not the achievement of the ideal, it's the progression of the realization of the ideal. And that makes a lot of sense to me. Because so many things, if they don't work out, they don't work out. Does that mean it's failure? No. It just means it's a different path that you have to take, or you have to relearn, or just revisit what you want to achieve. So if we start questioning fear deeply, honestly, effectively, fear actually does not have that much power over us. Okay. We believe it does. The mind believes it does. Okay, but if you've been in very fearful and hectic situations and you overcome that, every little bit that you overcome, fear dissipates a little bit. Okay. So be careful what you label as success. Because if there's a fear of failure, there must be a huge opposite side of the coin, which what is success? What can I achieve? And then the failure is on this side. And we want to see what that is. So taking steps to achieve what you want to achieve, what is an ideal for you. Now, an ideal is linked to your value system. Doesn't matter what that is. If you take small steps to do that, say you want to start losing weight, say you want to improve your diet, whatever that is, the smallest step that you start to take and take action with it, that's actually success, because you're actually starting to do something. And it's funny what happens in the mind when you start to realize that the body can be a bit more peaceful. Okay. So please, when we speak about fear, question fear. What is the acronym? There's an acronym. It's a nice one and a not so nice one. So it's either face everything and rise, which is an acronym for fear, or forget everything and run. But the forget is like an expletive word that they do. Okay. And I like those types of acronyms because it gets you a different view on what fear is. Okay, so face everything and rise, or forget everything and run. We cannot run. Right, run, well, in the bigger sense of things, there's no escape. Because even if you've been the most traumatic thing, you cannot escape your mind, and the mind can conjure up some terrible things. It can conjure up some fearful things. It can remind you of things the whole time. So it takes practice to actually start to do that and to learn how to handle these things. Okay, Linda, I tend to overthink. I need to get out of my own head. When I do discuss this with someone, I realize it was only my own fear, and that I should drop my armor and stop pushing people away and stop looking for acceptance from other people and accept who I am, because who I am is enough. Yes, but overthinking. People love throwing that word around. How do you measure overthinking? You have a bucket full of thoughts and it spills over. You have a bottle full of thoughts and it spills over. What is this overthinking? The mind is designed to think. You have to think all the time, go all avenues. What comes in where the problem lies is the overthinking becomes emotional, and there's an emotional attachment to the thoughts, whether fear or judgment or anything at the bottom here. And then the overthinking becomes draining. Okay, so it's not the problem that you overthink. It is the problem that you actually have an emotional connection to the overthinking. And that is exhausting. Okay, but that's a journey, and that's a practice that you have to take. What's the biggest thing to combat overthinking? There's a very simple process, and that is many people, many gurus, many people have spoken about this, and that's being anchored in the present. How do you anchor in the present without trying to overthink? You bring your mind and your attention to what is in your present moment, and you explore all your senses in the present moment. Okay. What are the smells, the touch, the taste, the sights, the sounds in your present moment? And you keep on asking your questions surrounding that. So what does my chair feel like? What can I smell? What can I taste in my mouth when I roll my tongue around? What can I see? 5 things, describe them, the color, the shape. Just anchor your senses. Make it a habit of practicing that in the moment. Okay. You don't have to do that for a long time. It can be a minute or two. But every time you anchor yourself in the present moment, overthinking ceases. Right. Because the reality is every thought, I've repeated this again and again, every thought takes you out of the present moment. because a thought can only be a memory or a desire. It can only be the past or the future. A thought cannot be in the present. When you are describing a thing, you're not thinking about it, you're experiencing it in the present. As soon as you think what you want to do with that thing, you go to the future. As soon as you think what you did with that thing, you go to the past. Every thought pulls you out of the present moment. It's not wrong, it is how we grow. Otherwise, we will all be very interesting individuals if we can all just be in the present moment the whole time. That'll be amazing, by the way. Okay, so regarding the fears, we are now going to do a thought exercise and a breathing and visualization exercise regarding fear. I'm going to take you through it. I want you to sit comfortably. Just make sure you're comfortable and then go through the process. You don't have to do anything but listen and visualize and observe what your mind pops out at you as I go through this process. Whatever the mind conjures up, avoid judgment. Just allow it to surface. And then we are going to do physical things while those thoughts are popping up. So while you are sitting comfortably, if you can, if your feet are not up, I want your feet firmly planted on the ground. Okay, so both feet firmly planted on the ground, or if they are up, just put them close together. As your feet are close together and you are sitting comfortably, I want you to take a deep breath in, and then a deeper breath, and then just sigh it out. Okay, and I want you to repeat that process now. So take a deep breath in, again, and sigh it out. And as you sigh it out the second time, close your eyes. Allow the eyes to close. And as the eyes close, I want you to just breathe and allow the breathing to take on a natural rhythm, meaning you don't have to breathe too deep, you don't have to breathe too slow, just a natural, comfortable rhythm that works for you in this moment. And as that breathing takes on a natural, comfortable rhythm that works for you in this moment, I would like you to please soften it a little bit. So softening means you hear yourself breathe is a hard breathing. You feel yourself breathe. You don't hear yourself breathe is a softer breathing. So I want you to feel yourself slowly breathing, softly breathing. Avoid listening and making a sound with the breath. And as you have your breathing slowing down, silently softening, I want you to allow the mind to conjure up any image, shape, sounds, colors of what fear represents for you. And as the mind throws fear at you, I want you to focus on your breathing and keep it relaxed, keep it calm. Because your thoughts in this moment cannot do any harm to you. You can just allow the body to breathe and observe those thoughts. The person and the part of you that's observing this fear surfacing, remember to breathe while the fear is surfacing. It can be fear of rejection that happened, fear of an accident that happened, fear of death, somebody lost to death, or you were close to death. It doesn't matter what the mind conjures up for you. Observe it and allow yourself to surround that fear with whatever you feel can keep it contained. Whether that is a glass cage, whether that is a color, a bubble, a shape, a sound. Surround that fear in your mind's eye with whatever you can conjure up and hold that fear in whatever it is that can keep that fear contained. And it doesn't matter how weird the mind makes the containment field for the fear. I still want you to breathe in, relax, deep, slow breaths. And as that fear is being contained, as it is surrounded by whatever it is in your mind, I would like you to breathe a bit slower as you observe that fear. I would like you to breathe a little bit deeper. Allow the breath to send a signal to the nervous system that this is totally okay and you can observe this without any attachment. That part of you that's observing the fear, feed it with your breathing. Inhale slowly, exhale slowly. And as that part that is observing your fear is being fed by your breath, allow all these experiences that regarding the fear gets colored in. And as the experiences get colored in, imagine the control you have over that fear. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can move it around your mind, you can shift it forwards, backwards, you can move it up and down, because the mind is free and it can do a lot of things. And as you imagine that fear being colorful, being smaller, bigger, moving it around, imagine the control you have over that fear to just observe it and move it around. And now in this space, ask yourself if you still want to decide to keep it, or if you can just allow it to drift away, dissipate, disappear, and move out of this mental space of yours. The event may have been real. The repercussions of the event may have been real, but your ability to let it go, not carry it in your mind, is just as real. And then if you allow yourself to let it go, breathing deeper, breathing slower, and just allow the breathing to seep through every part of your body. Make it slow, make it deep, make it comfortable. Allow the mind to fully experience what that feels like in the present moment if you just breathe. And if you just allow relaxation to flow through the body. Because the present moment is the most powerful, most observable moment you can have. And just observe your breathing and quietly relax it, make it deeper, and feel the effect on the body if you breathe slower, if you breathe deeper. If you know you can use your mind as an amazing servant instead of a diabolical master, and you can just sit and breathe through this. And it's okay if the mind wants to go wander off to other things. It's okay if the breathing wants to fluctuate. Allow the mind to wander. But you know your body is anchored in the present moment. Your body cannot go forwards or backwards. It cannot go into the past and the future. It can just be in the present moment while you breathe. And as you breathe, allow the breathing to become slower and deeper. Allow the nervous system to relax into your eyes, your brain, your shoulders, your legs. Your whole body relaxes in that space. Now, as you do that, thank yourself for allowing yourself to let your fear surface and to show that you have control over it and it doesn't have control over you. The event was real. The repercussions were real. Your choice of letting it go is just as real. And then inhale slowly and exhale slowly. And as you inhale slowly and exhale slowly, allow relaxation and awareness to flow through your body. And be curious and ask yourself the question, what would my body in this moment feel like if it was so totally relaxed? And how deep can I move my nervous system into that relaxation? And breathe. And now, I want you to open your eyes slowly. Take a deep breath. Slowly. Move your fingers, toes, move the head around and just shake the body a little bit out. Shake the legs. And while your eyes are open in your back, in the chat box, could you actually summon a fear and contain it in whatever way, shape, or form? Could your mind take a step back, observe the fear, and while you breathe, could you, yes or no, summon that fear and just almost take a distance away from the fear with your mind? If anybody would like to share on the chat box or in a discussion, you're more than welcome. So I would just like to know, could you do that with your mind if the body was breathing and relaxed? It's a fascinating thing that happens if you can actually follow the breathing steps and actually communicate to your body in this space. Right? It's almost as if your power comes back over that thing that you've given power to. Okay. But what is important? The breathing. Okay, Lizelle could do it. Excellent, Lizelle. All right. The more you do this simple exercise of slightly taking a step back from your mind, your fear, and who you are and the repercussions of the actions, the more empowering it becomes. Rudolph, yes. Okay, excellent, Rudolph. Well done. So the mind has that capacity. Okay, Leanne, separate herself from the fear. Yolanda, yes. Excellent, guys. It is doable. It is practical. It has an effect on the body when you do that. It empowers you a bit more. This is how you handle fear. This is how you play with fear. And incidentally, everything else is stuck in your mind. Okay. It's easier if someone guides you, like I did, because doing it by yourself is not impossible, but it takes a bit of practice. But if you know the possibility is there, what is fear's reality then? Is it still there? Is it an illusion? Okay, caution, always advisable. Fear, not so much. Because you have an internal resource that can actually take a step back from the fear, observe it, handle it, and then empower yourself and give you energy to move forwards. Okay. Right. Ek battle met dit as ek nie in beheer is nie. Yep. If you've experienced trauma and if you like to be in control, good luck. To take a step back from your fear, you need to let go of some of it, and you need to let go of control. Now, this is where the problem comes in with most people, because where we end is where our universal and infinite part begins. Whatever that is for you, whether that's a higher power, a high universal power, there is a bigger energy at work and at play than what we actually experience with our senses and who we are. If we don't learn to trust in that energy and learn to connect with that energy, it's going to be very difficult to let go of control. And we have control over very, very little. Okay. We have control over very, very little, but we have control over our actions and what we practice and what we allow and what we don't allow. So those things need to be practiced. Okay. Kan nie saam ander mense ry nie, Theo, at least I know Lisa, well, personally, I've known her for many years and I know who she's talking about. But yeah, if things are causing you fear, then you start slower. So you cannot drive with other people, you drive a block. But that takes a bit of patience from the other people understanding. And I don't think most people are that patient and understanding. But there are ways to go through that and to do that. Okay, but the first thing is learn how to let go of that which you cannot control. You cannot control the past or what fear was brought into your life in the past, but you can control how you respond to it. You can control how you physically do it with your exercise, with your visualization, and with the nervous system calming. And breathing is the most accessible part that we've got, the quickest thing that we have to calm down. Okay. All right, Rudolf, vreemd. Ek het gevoel of ek dit in 'n blou bal soos klei laat wegrol. Oh, awesome. Okay, it's not strange. If there's a blue ball of fear and you let it go, your subconscious mind will create things to allow you to visually express what the emotion is. So letting go a blue ball of clay is actually quite visual. The more visual you make it, the better. Okay, as long as it feels like a relief. It is amazing because in what I do and what I've done for the past how many years, it's probably 17 years already. Everybody's experience is different in that realm. Everybody's experience is unique and they would use different visualizations. So instead of saying it's strange, just go, okay, accept it. Because everything in that realm has meaning. The blue ball of clay, the way it goes. So yeah, it's not judge it, let's use it. Use the tool. Okay, you don't want to judge the tool too much. Most of us are driving cars. If you have a car, you don't really want to work on the car. You don't want to understand the most intricate parts of how the car works, unless you're a mechanic or you're very interested in that type of thing. But most of us just want to drive it, right? So we want to drive this tool. We want to drive the breathing, the visualization. Don't judge it. Okay. Awesome, guys. I see our half an hour is up. Went by quickly. But I hope this assists you. I hope you go practice this and go delve deep and authentically into fear. Because it's a big part of this planet, it's a big part of life, but there are ways to actually deal with it. There are ways to observe it. There are ways to take a step back from it. Okay? And it's amazing if you start doing that, because that's the best gift you can give yourself. And remember, success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Once you take that into consideration, even if you go start working on your fear, that is already success. If you do nothing, that's a bit of a problem. Okay. So thank you very much for joining me tonight.